now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as always by JD by God Oliva. How you doing, JD?
In Essex.
It's not in excess because
It's
that
not
was
like the
that
band. It's not
right.
like the Michael Hutchins band. It's not in excess. It's
Yeah,
I can't do it. I'm less cool than you.
Innis
Innis
INNES X.
in X or Innis X.
I don't know. I don't want to get too R rated on this
I don't
still.
want to do
So
a bit. Are
yeah,
we? I don't mean to do a bit. Are we doing a bit?
no,
Did we devolve into it already?
this was totally unplanned. Sorry for our stupidity,
so
folks.
so's most our shows. So hey,
I know, and we actually have a guest today, and I'm sorry, we're actually embarrassing our guest now with our stupidity.
that's what we
We
do.
got
Not
welcome
at
to the
all.
welcome to the shit show, there, Sam. This is Brace for Impact, and today our special guest is Sam from the Powerbombshells podcast. Man, how are you?
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Can I just give you you and Mel a huge compliment really quick? I absolutely love the name the Power Bombshells, and
Thank you.
I'm actually quite jealous because I think there for a long time we had the coolest name of any show on the Fight Game Media channel. We were smoking all the competition with Brace for Impact, and then you guys come along and just totally blow us out of the water with that name.
Sorry about that. Brace for Impact is a great name. And it's funny because Mel, we were kicking around names and sorry, my mic just fell. I think mine was what was it? It was something drop kicks and dives, like a play on the Guy Fieri show.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were gonna do. And then we are like, well, that's a little wordy. And then we were tossing. So we wanted to stick with something that had a move in it. And she was like, what about Power Bombshell? She's like, no, it's probably taken already. And then she went and looked it up and she was like, oh my gosh, nobody has it. And I was like, hurry up and take it before somebody else does.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
perfect. That's the perfect name for your
Yeah,
show.
it's she. Yeah, I was really glad that she came up with it. We haven't we've kind of kicked around some ideas about getting a logo for it, and so she's gonna talk to some artist friends, I think, at some point and see if we can't get a really cool logo to incorporate the name into it.
Yeah, well, I like the logo that you guys already have. I think that you guys have a great show. You're a welcome addition to the
Thank
network.
you.
So tell us a little bit about the show and behind the show and why you guys decided to do it.
So Power Bombshells, our tagline is two broads talking about wrestling because that's basically what we do. We just talk about the wrestling that we like, the wrestling we're watching. We don't watch anything that we don't like. So that does mean, so hopefully this doesn't offend anybody, but we don't watch WWE. That's not, we both don't watch it. I mean, we'll watch Mania this weekend, but so we watch, I think she does watch a little bit of Impact. I do. I try to keep up with it every week. I definitely, we watch AEW. We both started watching NJPW Strong again. I had gotten out of the habit of watching it and she was like, I think I'm going to start watching again. I was like, perfect. So we've watched like the last 4 episodes and I'm really glad I got back into that because there's been some good stuff. And of course, Jay White, he's doing his thing on Impact, but he's doing his thing and Strong as well. And so, and then, we try to cover some independent wrestling as well. I go to my local promotion pretty often, and so like last week's episode I got to talk about that, so that was really cool because I got to talk about some of the people I see regularly, and I think actually a few of them are going to be showing up on Elevation next week because I had a friend that was at the Columbia show and he sent a tweet about a couple of the guys that we've seen for a while that they had some dark matches, so that was really cool.
That's cool. So where is your local promotion?
I'm in Charlotte, North
Oh,
Carolina, so my local promotion is
woo! Sorry, go
yes,
ahead.
definitely Flair Country. So PWX, the Pro Wrestling or Premier Wrestling Experience, is my local promotion. I've been going this October will be 11 years that I've been going. And it started out when I started going, they were in like rec centers. And so Cedric Alexander used to wrestle for them. And it was like early in his career. And I would pay like $5 to see, to see him wrestle. And like Caleb Conley, who you guys know was Caleb with a K, has been there for years. He's actually one of the reasons I started going because I met him and his tag team partner, Zane Riley, at a Mick Foley comedy show. They were passing out flyers and
Oh, those were the guys that were the what were they called?
Revolt.
The Revolt, and then that got FTR in trouble because they
Sure
decided
did.
that that was their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Caleb
Yeah.
Conley and what was the other
And
guy's
Zane
name?
Riley. And so
Zane Riley. Yeah.
I've known both of them for over 10 years now. And that they were there with Jake Manning.
Oh, nice.
actually, a man scout. And so Caleb kind of just was there and just he's very quiet if you don't know him. And so Zane, though, is very talkative, and he gave us flyers, and we ended up checking out shows, and then we've been going ever since. So we got some other friends involved going there. Savannah Evans, who is also on Impact, she's been in PWX for a while now. She actually last Saturday she competed in X16, and one of the which is a big tournament they have. But this year they did it a little bit differently, and John Davis was putting his title on the line every time he was in the tournament. And in the second round, he faced Savannah Evans, and that for the title, and she became the first woman in PWX history to ever wrestle for the PWX Heavyweight Championship. She unfortunately did not win, but that was very cool to see. She's also the first woman who was ever in a cage match. She was in one like 2 years ago. So it's always cool to see Savannah now in Impact and doing cool stuff, because she's always just been killing it, locally. So I'm glad to see her there.
Yeah, she's awesome, man. So I do have a question. So you do follow Impact, you follow AEW, not really a big WWE fan, but there's always this debate online, and it is kind of a weird debate, because I think not only is it subjective, but it really could change like every week. But who would you say had the better women's division right now, or that utilizes their women's division better right now, AEW or Impact?
I would say they both have really solid, really good women. And it's just, I would say Impact is better at utilizing their women, just because even though there's always the argument AEW only has one women's match per Dynamite, which is something I complain about often, but Impact generally has one women's match per show. There's been because I've been tonight. I've got to catch up on tonight. Was sidetracked. I was watching Joey Janela's Spring Break, so I've got to go back and so I did get to see Mickie James tonight. She wrestled Allie Katch, and it was a very good match. Good. Yeah, and they got some tape. Oh yeah, so doors involved. So it was cool to see Mickie in that format. But yeah, so I would say, so I have actually been timing women's matches since October of 2020, and it was basically because there was the conversation this conversation is still happening, is who was utilizing their women's match better, and it was supposed to be our women's division better. It's supposed to be a 1 week thing, and then I realized that wasn't enough time, so then I timed them for 6 months, and then I'm still doing it. And so I did time WWE's women's matches up until probably until October of last year, because that was the 1 year mark. And so there was a lot of just the match times are in most cases are not very good. But so there have been cases like going back to the one match per week, or usually one per episode. There have been times when Impact has had no women's matches. It's very rare, but it has happened. But the thing with Impact is that they tend to utilize their women better, that they generally, even if they're not wrestling, they have storylines, they have a lot of character development, where AEW they have some character development, but then they kind of back off from it. It looks like they start to get something going, and then they kind of shift their focus to something else. It's like and a lot of issues, even with WWE, it's like if they would start something going, and it was like they can only focus on like Roman Reigns, and that's it. Like nobody else had a good story. And so and then for WWE for a while, if you weren't one of the four horsewomen, then they didn't care about you. There was no character development. I mean, look at what they've done to Asuka for all of this time. And then they started pushing Bianca, and then they had her lose in 26 seconds, and it looks like maybe she's going to get some redemption this weekend. But they haven't really, from my understanding, they're not really using Alexa Bliss and things like that. So there's women that they could be elevating. So it is an issue across all three major promotions. And now that Ring of Honor is coming back into the picture, I don't know what their women's division is going to look like. I know that Maria, is involved in Impact now, but she was doing a lot of really great things in the women's division and Ring of Honor right before, that they stopped doing what they were doing. And so I would like to see her involved in Ring of Honor's women's division. I think that she did a fantastic job of, putting the spotlight on their women's division. She was bringing in a lot of women from the indie scene, like Trisha Dora and Willow Nightingale and Roxy, who obviously is now with the WWE. But so I would like to see, some more focus there. So I'm a little concerned about, how they run the AEW women's division and how that's going to translate to Ring of Honor. And I hope that it is, since Ring of Honor is going to have tomorrow at the Supercard of Honor, they're going to have a interim championship match. So it seems like they are going to have a women's division, but I'm a little concerned about how they're going to handle it when they struggle so much with their own division.
Right. So you've been timing out matches for a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest. Are you timing your appearance today on the Brace for Impact show?
No,
how many minutes are we in? No.
I probably should have. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I think that would have been a perfect opportunity to bury us because we're just we're
missed opportunity.
JD and I are the enemy. We're just two white dudes. So we're everyone's enemy. JD, did you have any questions for Sam before we let her off the hook?
I have known Sam for about 3 years now, so I'm enjoying listening. It's the first time I've actually talked to her, so
yeah,
I'm just sitting back and taking it in.
That's cool.
Yeah, JD is the reason I found Fight Game Media, because I saw some of the things that he was posting, and then I was like, I really enjoy writing for Daily DDT, but I was like, I kind of want to do some other things, and just sent him a message, and here we are. That was in like October, and now I have a podcast.
Cool, man.
I like to say I beat the drum hard for my friends and went to bat, and I'm very glad because you've welcome to the team. You've done an absolutely excellent job so far.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And you and Mel got some big shows planned this coming up weekend for the Powerbombshells. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, we will be having our first ever live show.
Hold on, I gotta pause real quick. Let me see the puppy. I got it. I got
she just jumped down.
Oh, she left.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, she's here, but she's.
Okay.
Miley, come here. Can we come back up here? She's like, no, I'm not. She's like, I'm leaving.
We're leaving all this in, by the way. There's no rules on Brace for Impact. No,
I'll have to tweet a picture of her to
you guys on this show. Come on.
She's like, I don't want camera time.
JD usually has his little friend there on the floor with him, and I have to kick my beast out because she is very loud. So I kick.
Yeah, I tried to kick her out, and she was just like, she's like, I'm not leaving. And then I guess she got tired of me talking, and now she's like, okay, bye.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
your wonderful plug there. So
no. That's quite all right. So Miley will probably be making some appearances on Sunday. I won't be surprised if she pops in. But yeah, so this Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern time, we will be doing the first ever live Powerbombshells. We are going to be talking about all the wrestling that we watched. I have a schedule out on my phone. We'll see if I can keep up with everything. I have 12 shows that I'm planning to watch between now and Sunday. I've already watched 2. I watched Bloodsport 8, and I just finished part 1 of Joey Janela's Spring Break. There's quite a few things tomorrow. And I think Mel's going to try to watch a handful of things as well that we're both watching together. So we're going to try to talk about those things. We are going to check out Wrestlemania, so we may talk a little bit about that. So my biggest issue tomorrow is Impact starts at the same time as Rampage, but I cover Rampage for Daily DDT. So I was like, Tony, why didn't you just move it to 7 o'clock this week? I was like, you're messing up my stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna have to go straight from Ring of Honor into Rampage and then have to try to catch up on Impact. But I'm really looking forward to the Impact show tomorrow.
Well, that's cool. Well, we really do appreciate you joining us and telling us about your awesome new show. I am a big fan of it. I listen to it every week. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll try my best to continue tweeting out your content. You have great content, and you're a welcome addition to the team. Thanks for being here, Sam, and we will talk to you again soon, okay?
All right, sounds good. See you guys on Sunday.
See you.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, bye.
All right, that was our buddy Sam, man. That's cool to have her come on and talk about the new Powerbombshells podcast right here on Fight Game Media Network.
Got our own Fight Game multiverse of podcasts going on. I don't know. I've dropped the landing. I fucked it up.
Yeah, you did, man. You did. Well, hey, let's there's not a lot of Impact news, so we'll just get straight into the show tonight, man. Let me get over here to Garza's deal. Our buddy, our good friend who's never actually tweeted me back, Garza. On BTI tonight.
Is there anyone that does as much good stuff for this Garza guy as you? Like, who else talks about the Observer's Impact guy other than Mike Gilbert?
I think it's just me because I think most other Impact podcasts hate the Observer, and I'm like, I'm a reasonable human being, so I like it. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. On BTI, Black Taurus defeated Diener, and that was Talking BTI. Thanks, folks. Thanks for talking BTI with us. Appreciate it.
Shortest podcast in America.
Yeah. So we have an opening video recap of last week's brawl with Moose and Josh Alexander, which led to Moose attacking Alexander's wife Jade at an indie show. This was at Destiny Wrestling in Toronto. So a couple weeks ago, we had the quote unquote home invasion of Moose into Josh's home, and we were defending the angle because Moose didn't actually do anything.
Nothing happened. There was nothing to defend. He just stood there.
Yeah,
right?
But in Toronto this past weekend, they just leaned right into it, and they might as well tag David Bixenspan in the video.
They went full Bix.
Yeah, and it didn't bother me. Look, it's wrestling; it's all pretend. Yeah, and I am still of the opinion that I don't think that we know the full story there, and he may not be the monster that people are trying to make him out to be, or he could be. I just don't know. So I'm going to put that out of my brain. I felt the angle was fine, but I also feel like if you were turned off by it or you felt it was gross, you might be right, and that's okay too. And I'm not going to be upset at you for feeling that way.
I don't like intergender wrestling. No. That being said, I thought this was a pretty good angle. Got over Moose as a vile POS, and Jade's a worker. This is what she does. I mean, like, if this happens in a movie where, like, stunt people go at it, nobody says anything, right? But in wrestling, the rules are different for some reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was fine. It was a well done angle. It elevated stuff. Josh is pissed and led to the show. It's fine. We're good.
Yeah, he came right in and he opened the show by being told by D'Amore that Moose was sent home. With threats of firing Moose, but Alexander grabbed D'Amore, shoved him up against the garage door there, the famous garage door that Tommy Dreamer bled on so many times there in the 2300 arena, and said that he's tired of hearing his excuses and he wants to fight Moose, and he wants to be the one to take the title from Moose. So basically saving Moose's job there because D'Amore was ready to fire him.
What? Yeah, right. Okay. Was ready to fire Moose. I believe that. Like, what if he was ready to fire Moose? He would have stripped him of the title. Yeah. See, I can either write this up as inconsistencies or my going nowhere theory that Scott D'Amore is in fact a heel.
Yeah.
I think I've healed myself in all of this. No, this was fine, man. This was good. Josh is angry. Angry Josh might be my favorite Josh. And Moose has got what a job. All you gotta do is beat somebody up outside of work, and you don't have to go to work.
Yeah.
And you only go to work once a month to begin with. Yeah. I wish all jobs were that easy.
That'd be awesome, right?
Maybe for Will Smith.
Yeah. So we go to the ring now, and we got Jonathan Gresham. He's coming down to the ring, and he took the microphone to talk about why he had come to Impact Wrestling. He said that talked about sharing the essence of Ring of Honor to the world, but unfortunately the people of Honor No More had followed him. And kind of ruined everything for them. He talked about Edwards not being a part of the core of what Ring of Honor represented. Then Kenny King interrupts him and told him that he was an idiot and for allowing Ring of Honor to use him like a pawn, that they were all used before coming to Ring of Honor, and they should fight about it. But he didn't care about that stupid title. I think he threw that in there too. So what'd you think of this opening promo before we get into the match here?
Promo's okay. I mean, cutting promos isn't Gresham's strong suit, but I thought he was fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. The bigger question of what happens to Jonathan Gresham as we record this late Thursday night, what happens to Jonathan Gresham as of tomorrow, lingered in my head, and I couldn't get my mind off of it while watching this whole sequence. Because he's doing a lot of stuff with Impact. Rumors are abound of what his future is going to be. We don't know what the new Ring of Honor is going to be like as of tomorrow. I mean, they're bringing Chavo in. Apparently, they've missed Tony and Chavo have massaged that problem. So someone in the chat brought up that this actually, I was convinced Gresham wins because Gresham's been the flag bearer during this entire down phase. But someone brought up, I forget who it was, brought up that maybe Chavo coming in is a favorite of Bandito, and Bandito goes over. And I don't know. I just, this is one of the more fascinating things to me is what happens with Gresham from here on out. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I do think that he's at Ring of Honor, full time, as full time can be with that promo, because we don't know what the promotion looks like.
Hmm.
So that's going to be his. I guess not full time, probably the wrong word. That's going to be his priority going forward. I predicted he's going to win the title. He's going to be the Ring of Honor flag bearer. And I think that he had agreed to these Impact dates before Tony Khan ever purchased the company. So that's why he's fulfilling these dates. So I think after Rebellion, we probably don't see Gresham anymore. That's just a prediction. I'm wrong a lot. Let's be honest.
We both are. It's kind of
Yeah.
our gimmick on this show. I think you're right. And which is one of the reasons why I don't think his matches have recently been for the title. Eddie
Mhm.
chucked the belt a little bit today. Like, I don't care about this thing, which is great.
Yeah.
Actually, great moment. So I think that's probably realistic. And nobody's talking about what Bandito is going to do, which is a shame because Bandito is one of the best luchadors and overall professional wrestlers in the world right now. Somebody should try to sign that guy full time.
Yeah.
I said tomorrow night's going to be a real interesting night for professional wrestling.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we had Jonathan Gresham defeating Kenny King in a non-title match. Um, I gotta say, this match was flat to me.
I agree. It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't do much for me.
It didn't do much for me, and I'm a big Gresham fan.
Me too.
I'm not the biggest Kenny King fan. I never have been, but I've
I
always
agree.
but I'm a really big Gresham fan, especially his work in Impact has been great. Um, Jonathan Gresham beat him with kind of a standing leg lock. He pinned him with that, which is fine. But I just felt like there was something missing in this match. It just was the whole thing was flat. It just didn't work for me.
I really felt this whole thing had no real stakes. Not just having
No.
the title on the line. It just I think a lot of the steam's kind of been sucked out of the Honor No More storyline.
Yeah,
Like I
well,
really feel like it's kind of gone flat a bit.
because they're jobbing every week, except for Eddie, and
Yeah.
PCO's gone. PCO's out of the group now, and he's
More on that
one of
later.
the more one of the more interesting cats in the group. And so, but you got OGK and Vincent and Kenny King. They're losing every week, so it's like, why do we care?
With the new Ring of Honor that probably launches, I assume from now on Friday, is this the end of Honor No More after this week?
I don't think so. I think Sapp was saying something that their contracts are all coming due at the end of this month, and they're expected to stay with Impact. He said that in a Q&A. Gerard sent that to us. So
Okay.
now, things can change, but I would presume because nobody other than Vincent is booked on the multiverse of matches, so OGK and Kenny King could have appeared on Supercard. They could have been booked if that were the case. I just don't see them being Tony Khan guys. I just don't.
Oh no, I agree with that. I don't
yeah.
think they're gonna go in. I just wonder if the because the group is called Honor No More.
Oh, I gotcha.
Like,
Yeah.
is it the end of the stable in itself? Like more of a kayfabe than a realistic thing. Like,
Right.
is this
Oh,
the end of
okay.
the Honor No More stable? Because
Oh,
it seems like we're getting Eddie geeked up for a run with Josh. That just seems like where things are leading, right?
mm-hmm.
I just wonder what happens to his minions.
Yeah, I see there being some changes. They'll probably keep the name, but the right now there's just something missing from the group. Which, when honestly, it's disappointing because they came into the year as one of the hottest groups out there. So,
Yeah.
that's disappointing. But after the match, Eddie Edwards ran down and jumped Gresham from behind. King and Edwards teamed up on each other. Edwards was about to hit the Boston Knee Party, but Rocky Romero ran down for the save, and between the two managed to send Honor No More up the ramp there and out of there. So it looks like we're setting up for a Rocky Romero and Jonathan Gresham versus Eddie Edwards and Kenny King match, which should be pretty good if we end up getting that. I did not read the spoilers on that deal, so I'm thinking that's coming.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You think they would have gone with like another Ring of Honor, more of a Ring of Honor guy than Rock? I like Rocky, but he's a New Japan guy. It's, I don't know, weird. So
Yeah, weird. But Gia Miller interviewed the Motor City Machine Guns about their previous win over White and Bay. Shelley addressed the controversy and said that it was clear he had the pin for 3 seconds, and Jamie, he keeps calling Jay White Jamie, which is kind of degrading, said that he should know better than that's, know that that's the rules, that he taught him better than that, and kind of quit complaining type of deal there. So good little promo from the Machine Guns.
Alex Shelley, underrated promo.
Yeah, he's very good. Next, we got Miller interviewing Deonna Purrazzo about defending her championships against both Shaw and Frost in the same match. She basically said that she is the multiverse because she is the champ, and talked about her champ challenge coming up at the multiverse of matches, saying that it could be basically anybody. And I don't know who it's going to be, but quick preview. Who's your guess? Who you think it's going to be?
I have no idea. I mean, honestly, uh, because it's WrestleCon weekend, WrestleMania, there's a million people running around.
Yeah.
I don't. Camille.
It, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to fathom who it could be. I've predicted Athena, I think 3 times, and I've been wrong 3 times. And I kind of want to predict her again because that's kind of how I was ended up being right about God. And the it came,
I hope it's not because
yeah.
she's gonna lose, right? And like, if
Uh,
you're gonna bring Athena in, you want to like do something with her, and that's something you could actually like build to,
yeah, I just don't know that they can bring
right?
her in. I just don't know that they can bring her in
I don't
full
either.
time. So if they're just gonna bring her in for a shot, just let her,
Yeah,
wrestle
fair,
Diona and get the footage, right? So,
fair.
um, she, I think the report came out earlier this week that before Tony Storm signed with AEW, that AEW and Athena had basically had some talks, but that AEW wasn't really in a hurry to sign her. So it looks like she's going to be a free agent for a while. So Impact can probably get some dates on her, but not bring her in as one of their top people because they're not going to be able to sign her long term while she's kind of figuring out where she wants to land. And then if she does sign a long term deal, then that's when you push her.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, and then I think Athena and Mia Yim had a match tonight, so Mia Yim's obviously in town. I know Taya Valkyrie's in town. I think that's another possibility. Or it could be Medusa. Like who knows? Like it could be
Mia
literally anybody.
Mia Yim is interesting
Yeah,
because she's never really been like a headliner. So I mean, she is somebody you could bring in, get a nice reaction. Deanna goes over. Nobody's like, oh man, we left money on the table. Like I
yeah,
think there's money on the table with Athena.
I do
With
too.
Mia, I mean, she was Jade, right? Last time she was here. So it's
And
not
the
like,
what was
you
it? The
know,
Dollhouse? Is that what she was in?
dollhouse, yeah.
Dollhouse, yeah,
So it's not like, I mean, she's fine. She's good talent, but
yeah.
it's not like like when I used like when Tony Storm showed up, everybody went, "Oh my God, Tony Storm is here!" And then the match was just kind of, yeah,
Meh.
which is kind of with this people like, "Oh, Mia Yim, cool, cool." And then Deanna wins, and we're like, "Oh yeah, cool, that's what it's supposed to be." And then we kind of move on and do the next thing, right? That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. That's
I'll change my pick. I think it's going to be Mia Yim.
me. You're going Mia Yim. Final answer.
Final answer.
Okay,
That'll
and
be wrong.
yeah. Mia Yim sounds like more plausible. I think Taya gets saved for a AAA show. AAA Mania's coming up. So you're going Mia Yim. I'm gonna go Athena for the fourth time. I've been wrong 3 times. I'm going fourth time. Athena. There you go.
Fourth time lucky. Isn't that how it
Yeah,
goes? How many times did you predict God before they finally came
like 13.
in?
So. And next we had the Good Brothers defeating our guys, Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice. Zicky Dice were out in the ring first, ready for
The chump challenge.
the Chump challenge after Deanna Praza was talking about her Champ challenge. And so they assumed incorrectly that they would get 2 chumps out there whenever they put their challenge out. But the Good Brothers answered it and made quick work of old Zicky Dice. What'd you think of this? And what do you think of Zicky and Johnny Swinger as a team here?
They were the chumps.
Yeah, that's the joke.
Yes. It's fun. I enjoy it. I mean, like this is probably the best use of both guys at this point in their careers, right? Zicky has kind of established himself. This is kind of what he is, and Johnny Swinger's Johnny Swinger. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed we got no dungeon this week, but
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll save it for the next episode, more dungeon stuff. But yeah, I kind of like Swinger and Zicky here. I would like for them to bring in a tag team partner for Zicky and have Swinger be the manager and actually
Yeah.
let them work some matches. Man, I think that would be cool. I
So
don't know who they could bring in, but
if you're Scott Demore, and I'm going to yell at you for a minute because that's what I want to do with Scott Demore sometimes.
okay.
Who would you book as Zicky Dice's tag team partner?
How about Retro Anthony Green?
You know what? I like that idea.
Yeah, well, that's actually Paul Fontaine's idea, and I hate to give
Oh,
Paul
good
credit
job,
for
Paul.
anything, but he said that he said like last year when Anthony Green got released that
Mhm.
they should bring him in and have him be Johnny Swinger's illegitimate son, and I was like, that's a
He
brilliant
did say that
idea.
in the group. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
No, that actually works. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was thinking him or Silas Young. I thought would be kind of cool. Just a kind of a good guy to play off of, but probably,
Silas would be fun because he would be like disgusted with Zicky at all times for not being manly enough. That would be
yeah,
fun too.
yeah. So yeah, I think there's some cool options out there, but
Yes.
the Good Brothers made quick work of these guys. Many squash matches tonight, and then immediately went backstage and talked about their upcoming challenge of against the Briscoes at the Multiverse of matches. Said they were going to beat the whole division. They're going to win the titles, and then of course they're gonna beat up on the Briscoes at Multiverse. So strong promo there by the Good Brothers.
Yes. It would have been nice if the Good Brothers could have sent one in. They cut promos on their phone all the time on the
Yeah.
farm. We couldn't get one.
The Briscoes, yeah, the Briscoes have not
Briscoes,
sent
yeah.
in. Yeah, they haven't sent in a single promo. I think they tagged Impact in one tweet. I think as I follow both of them, and they're not really talking about the multiverse at all.
They
So
uh they cut a promo today, the two on the farm, and they kind of covered all of their matches from the weekend. So they cut like a 4-and-1 promo,
yeah,
and like briefly addressed the Good Brothers, and spent like 70% of the promo talking about FTR. In
yeah.
case you're curious about where their priorities are at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you where Ring of Honor's priorities aren't. It's with the Briscoes. Because I watched AEW last night, and I was on the Dynamite show with Jeff Hawkins last night, covering for Paul while he's on the road. And FTR talked about their upcoming match for the Ring of Honor titles. Did not mention the Briscoes one time.
There's a dude in the Warner Media office who does not like them. So that's why I'm convinced the FTR is going to win. Our guy Jeremy, he's hi Jeremy, he is convinced the Briscoes win and retain and stay part of the new Ring of Honor. I
Yeah,
don't know if I'm sold on that. This is
no,
what I'm talking about by this being an interesting night. Like,
yeah,
it's
it's
curious.
yeah. There's a lot of irons in the fire. The
There
Briscoes
are.
won the GCW tag team titles tonight.
Yes.
Now that doesn't mean they can't also be the Ring of Honor tag team champions because the wrestling's just weird right now where you can just do that. So
Who is the GCW World Heavyweight Champion as of right now?
Moxley,
There you
yeah.
go.
So, um, sorry, excuse me. Afterwards, we saw PCO calling out Jonah in the parking lot. He was just randomly yelling in the parking lot at some cars.
Yeah.
So my wife was in the room with me while I was watching this, and then she was like, she's a photographer, so she's editing her pictures while I watch the show, and then she actually like turned around and looked at the TV, and then looked at me, and then just looked back at her pictures. It was like that. It was like one of those like that's what you're watching right now. But
Those
I love PCO, so I don't care. But
those moments where you disappoint your spouse because you're a wrestling fan. I've been there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, Jonah ends up answering the challenge to some theme music. We get the '80s action movie theme song or theme music there in the background. Yeah, and that was cool. Like, that's just Impact. So it's grown on me when they do that. It was kind of weird that he was yelling in the parking lot and they didn't have the music, and then they cut to the scene and now they have music. It's whatever. But they brawled in on some metal, on some rocks. They eventually got slammed into some fiberglass. I hope they clean that off really well because that could get really bad for your skin. That's what I do for a living. I'm an occupational health technician, so please get that fiberglass off your skin. At one point, they put a big Jonah put a big like what do they call it, piece of concrete on PCO's stomach and then hit it with a sledgehammer. That was pretty cool.
No, Jonah the sledgehammer is the dumbest weapon in pro wrestling because you can't effectively hit anyone with it. I thought this when Triple H using them. Like
Yeah.
everyone always awkwardly holds a sledgehammer and like jabs you with it. So it never really makes sense. And then he thought about hitting it with it and decided, no, I'm gonna put this piece of concrete on him first, then I'm going to hit him with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to actually hurt him with this sledgehammer. I don't know. It's like stuff like that. I don't know. I know it's wrestling. I know it's silly, but I don't know, man. This one, yeah.
PCO ends up getting the better of the exchange and starts shoveling gravel on top of him. I guess it would be gravel, just broken up black rocks. And
Sure.
throwing it on top of him. And
Buried him.
Buried
on
him.
the show.
Yeah, and then starts screaming and doing his Frankenstein stuff as he's leaving. Can I say that Impact and PCO were a match made in heaven?
Yeah, absolutely. I've never seen a guy belong in a company more than PCO and Impact. Absolutely.
They and I think it's a mutual admiration society. I think they love him every bit as much as the audience does. So
The only real surprise is how it's taken this long.
yeah, I think I told the story. It came out in the Newswire whenever PCO signed with Ring of Honor. Impact tried to bring him in, but they wanted him to immediately lose to Brian Cage, and he wasn't doing that. So, but now he's in. So
The old school brother, man. You gotta
yeah.
you gotta worry. You gotta protect yourself.
Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. What did you think? Not for you, JD.
Not for me. It wasn't. I mean, like, it's far and away not. It's not even close to one of the things on the show that makes me go, "What are we doing?" But
Yeah.
I just the what do we call these things? The cinematic stuff with the
Right.
I don't know.
Cinematic.
I'm kind of over them. Like I said, if they do it once in a while, it's not a big deal. It's just not for me.
Yeah. Next, Josh Alexander defeated Madman Fulton with Ace Austin.
I like this.
Yeah, it was a kind of a squash. Madman had a little bit of offense. Alexander got him with the ankle lock, tapped him out, and then after the match, Madman Fulton tried to attack him. Alexander got the ankle lock on him again, and then ankle locked his boot off, which I think signified that he had broken his ankle. So there you go.
I like this booking. Madman, it's not like he's a top guy. It's like he's protected, but he doesn't wrestle a ton on the show, but he's always there being big and imposing.
Yeah.
So like there's still an aura about him, but not like a huge aura. So he's a guy that could get beat up by Josh and makes Josh look cool. Like he's good in that like mid-card big dude role, and Josh looked great killing him. So this was like, I thought about this too. Like, this is good. This is like good booking here. This is like good TV wrestling booking. I enjoyed this entire thing.
Yeah, I like that Alexander's beating up these big ass dudes on his way to fight another big ass dude. It's like you're showing like he can beat up these big monsters.
You ever see the movie Game of Death?
No.
Bruce Lee's got to go up the pagoda, right? To get to get to the top where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is
right,
there, right?
Yeah, Kareem
and he's
Abdul-Jabbar.
Like he's battling every level of like various martial arts styles, what's represented as he goes up the pagoda.
And he beats Norris in that one too, right? Chuck
yes,
Norris?
he does.
Okay.
Yes, he does. So like every level, it gets progressively harder. And I always think this is like a great way to book your baby faces. Is like move them up the pagoda. Move it up till you get to the big boss. So this is I like. I don't think we've had many misfires on Josh. I really don't. Been a fan.
No, Josh has been great, man.
Yep.
He's a great get for this company.
100%.
Backstage, we have Trey Miguel approaching Mike Bailey, who wanted to know what his relationship with Ace Austin was. And Mike Bailey says the words, "Well, Ace is Ace." Thank you, Mike. That was a great response to your relation to that question about your relationship. Miguel.
Doesn't Impact have writers?
It's like, come on, guys. Like, is this what you guys get paid to write? What are you doing?
Ace is Ace.
Yeah,
really.
I think at one point Miguel was like kind of trying to treat Mike Bailey as a young boy almost, or like as a rookie, but Bailey's been around a lot longer than Miguel and is a bigger star than Miguel right now. So
this whole sequence was just really awkward and like strange. And Trey has this this weird delivery with what he was doing. Like it felt like they were reciting lines, but clearly these weren't like written lines because like they would have made more sense. Like it was like, I don't know, man. It felt like they were trying to make something happen, but weren't feeling it when they were recording it. Like I came out of that one like this. That was just an odd sequence.
The whole thing. So if they're going to go make Mike Bailey full blown GSP, just do that. I think they're trying to turn him into this like awkward, happy go lucky type of character. And it's just not working for me, man. I don't know. We'll see how it works. I hope he wins the title at Rebellion, but it's not working for me, the whole character right now.
Yeah, the work is good. He's really, really, really good.
Oh yeah.
The character work, I'm with you, man. I'm just, it's not clicking. I don't think Trey's clicking that well, to be honest with you, either character wise at the moment. Again, ring work good, character. What is I think this is like this is a cliche, but I'll say it. Like, what is Trey Miguel?
Yeah.
Like, who is Trey? Like, what is he? What is Speedball Mike Bailey? What does that mean? Like, I think sometimes we need to address these things when talking about character and development. Like, what? And I'll go to later. There is a character later in the show who does great character work. I don't even love it all the time, but I firmly know what they are and how they're established and what they're all about. With these guys, I'm not feeling anything about them as like characters on a television show, and it leads to I don't think they are either, quite frankly. It leads to awkward scenes on a show where you're just like, Ace is Ace.
Yeah, and they haven't really given Trey anything to sink his teeth into since his feud with Sam McCallahan last year, which was a great feud.
It was yeah, this whole thing is not working for me, man. Especially because we have writers, like I said, like
Yeah.
write something.
Yeah. Next, we see an interview from Mickey James addressing being betrayed by Chelsea Green. She called her and Cardona a sellout, acknowledged that Cardona and Aldis have had their problems, but she hoped the relationship with Green could be different. She said that she was her little sister, that she was looking out for her, mentoring her, yada, yada, yada. And then she said, at the Multiverse, it'll be the mid-Cardonas versus all Dis. Well, there you go, sister girl. So we got that match.
We should have gotten a trademark on that.
Yeah.
We should have gotten a trademark on that when it was just sitting there. We could have had T-shirts and an extra passive revenue streams. We let that go.
Yeah, well, so I did get educated that Brian Myers was the first person to call him that on their podcast, and I took it from Lucha Doncic, who took it from Brian Myers. But I was the guy that was like saying it every week, and it made it over to Dave Meltzer because Garrett told him about it, and so it just spread everywhere. But
well, Brian Myers is a genius. I will say that. But
yes.
Still, we should have trademarked it because oftentimes those things are trademarked by people who didn't invent them.
Yes.
The WWE's made an entire business out of it. So yeah, man, good stuff.
Good stuff. And then we go to Miller. She's looking out for she's trying to get a hold of the Cardona. She knocks on their dressing room door. Matt Cardona opens the door, and she asks him where Chelsea Green was at, and he's all mad at her for saying, look, I'm the legendary digital media world heavyweight champion, and you're asking me questions about my wife? And then he grabbed Chelsea, and Chelsea comes out. She's wearing her Francine 469 ECW throwback shirt. Well, it says Chelsea 469, but it's from Francine. And Green said that last week James kept asking her not to help, and so she did as such. And together they made fun of James and Aldis and said that they're the strongest power couple now. And they said they've accomplished more since January than Aldis has in 7 years as a couple. So there you go.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong, absolutely. Well, because most of the time Mickey James is in WWE.
Yeah. And Aldis is Aldis.
Yeah.
Dude, you know who gets this character? Matt freaking Cardona.
Yeah. And
he knows what he is. He knows what he's doing. He's so comfortable in his role. The only thing I didn't like about this is but only because he's about to fight Nick Aldis, he was not wearing the NWA World Title.
I noticed that too, and I don't know if that's just something with the NWA.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, and maybe it's something with it, but they really should have had that title.
It would have made that entire sequence. Especially because we're selling this whole multiverse idea, right? They really should have had him with the 2 belts. Yeah, they really would have made it better.
You know who else really knows their character as a heel?
Who's that?
Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I thought she was great in this segment. Mm-hmm. I literally believe this is who she is. like when she's talking, I was like, I think that she's snotty like that. I think that's her.
I can't guarantee it, but she's a lot more comfortable playing that. And we were hard on her as a baby. I don't think she's a very good baby face.
She's not.
But she's a great heel. She's a great heel. She should never be. It's like the sensational Sherry. Never should be a baby face. Phenomenal heel. Chelsea, great at being a heel. They work. This couple thing, I actually really like this whole storyline, and I'm very lukewarm on Nick Aldis to begin.
Yeah, but I thought Nick Aldis's promos on Twitter has been really good. Would have been nice to see one of those on Impact tonight, but Mickey and Aldis, they did a promo from their living room, but they actually set up a curtain and had lighting, and they got into costume. But and this would have totally just ruined your brain as a director. They pulled the camera back, and you can just tell that they were just in their living room. So the whole set had been given away, and it was just them filming it themselves. Total amateur.
Why
it was
did they do that?
It was a couple days ago. Just to go to Aldis's Twitter and look.
I'm going to after the show, but I'm wondering if you did this good stuff, why would you give away that we did it? I mean, it's cool. Believe me, I've done lots of stuff in my living room too to get work done. Well, but I mean,
they didn't intentionally give it away that it was their living room, but because they zoomed out the camera, then you could tell that it was their living room.
Why? Why did they zoom out the camera?
Because they're amateurs.
Oh, fair. That's you know what? You're right. That is the answer to the question.
Yeah, it was like they weren't trying to give it away that it was a living room. They didn't want you to know. They just failed in doing so because they're amateurs. But at least they were doing something. So.
They know just enough about video production to get something done, but not enough not to spoil the soup.
Yeah.
So
next, Rosemary won the Knockouts World Championship #1 contendership battle royal. Match not good.
No, God, no.
Not
To be
not
fair,
good.
Battle Royal, never good.
Never good. You know who was good? Tasha Steelz on commentary. I thought was
Great.
pretty good. I think
She's
she's fantastic.
she's a joy. She's
Yes.
an absolute joy. Why do people act so stupid in a Battle Royal? Like,
I,
why would you fight on the apron if that's the only way you can be knocked? And this isn't just to this match. This is battle royals in general. People do battle royals and they lose their brains of how these things work. And I
yeah.
know, suspension of disbelief, but it's just like if you're on like with that sequence when Billy and I think it was I forget who she was with on the apron. It might have been Madison Rain, I forget. But they're like elbowing each other on the apron. I'm like, why don't you just get in the ring? Then
Yeah.
you're not gonna be eliminated. But
Yeah.
you know
What are
who
you
gets
doing?
you know who else gets their character and knows what they are? Is Rosemary.
She's great. Yeah.
And again, believe me, no one's a bigger critic on the Undead Realm stuff than me. But Rosemary has had a firmly established character in this company since what, like 2015,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like she gets what she is, she knows what she does, she believes in what she is, and whenever she's on camera, she's convincing you that she is Rosemary. Like I
Right.
forget, like I don't think about Courtney Rush when I'm looking at her. Like she is all in on her character. She gets her character. She gets her motivations. And it was a surprise ending, but I'm okay with it because I actually kind of like watching Rosemary in the ring. Like
Yeah.
I think it'll be a fine match. Tasha ain't losing, but
No.
I mean, like for a as far as like character development on a TV show, she's a shining example of what can and should be done in these cases. Like if you were to ask Courtney Rush, what is Rosemary? She would be able to just go blah 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 blah, blah and
Mm-hmm.
rattle it off and tell you everything about her character.
Yeah.
And like it just I think more people need to think about these things in those terms. Like I think again, I like my work rate. Like I'll admit that I'm a big work rate guy, but I mean, like nothing takes the place of a character that people can invest and believe in, right? Either
Mm-hmm.
you love or you hate, and you have some kind of feelings on, and that they're bought into it, right? Like there's not a big difference between the Ringmaster and Steve Austin. Steve Austin just believed in himself as Steve Austin.
Yeah. No, he totally did.
So yeah, match sucked. I actually like the result.
Yeah, I like the result. Match sucked. And, it's a semi-annual push of Rosemary.
Yep.
She'll be a good first challenger for Tasha to get through, and then
Tasha gets to move on, build up those notches in the belt a little bit, which is
yeah,
fine. So
yeah,
Rosemary's there.
yeah, and it'll be a lower level match on the card. It's not gonna be a top match, and that's fine.
Not
So
everyone has to be a top one.
Nope, and we're building Tasha, so that's great. We got a promo by Violet by Design addressing their win.
You didn't.
Yes.
You didn't. The message I sent you was, "Why does Havoc look like Psycho Clown?"
Oh yes.
Like I looked up and she had yellow and red hair and the face paint, and I looked at my phone and looked up and totally thought Psycho Clown had invaded this match.
Yeah, I think the match would have been better if Psycho was there.
Dude, Psycho Clown's the man. It would have been awesome if Psycho Clown was there.
Yeah, we got a Violet by Design promo addressing their win over the Good Brothers, and but they talked about Diener's loss to Black Taurus as an example that the disease is still out there, and looks like they want to beat up on Decay here pretty soon. So I think we're getting that match.
I feel like we get the Eric Young looks at Cody Deaner for fucking up promo numerous times, and I'm okay with it because he believes in what he's doing, so it's acceptable.
Yeah. Brian Myers joined in with his commentary table, the creative commentator. He likes to only commentate Bhupinder Gujar matches for some reason. Maybe he's trying to make them more interesting. I don't know. But we had Gujar defeating Aiden Prince. Aiden Prince looks like a, he looks like a villain, like he would be a scientist from, like Eastern Russia or something like that. He just kind of has one of those evil looking faces. So I think he could be a good character if they did something with this guy. Good wrestler too.
Looks like a Bond villain.
Yes, yeah, he does. He legitimately does. Yeah. Anyway, Gujar beat him. Match went a little too long, but it was okay. I think they lost the crowd though, unfortunately. But Gujar's his spear off the middle rope is cool. I like that. Yeah.
They're really trying to make Gujar a thing.
Mhm.
Like it's not like they're not like pushing him, but you can see they see something in him and they believe in him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do, but I mean, like they like him.
Yeah. I think he's fine.
He's fine.
Wish, I know there was a lot of squash matches on this show, but I think if you're trying to build that guy, I think that he's the guy that, fighting these unknown talents, he's beating up Aiden Prince and John Schuyler, he should be beating them rather quickly, I would say, if they're going to try to, do something with him. But he is spending a lot of time selling for these guys.
Yeah, I agree. Like, especially if you're bringing in talent who, it's funny. With Kenny Omega, if he goes longer, I kind of feel like, well, people want to watch Kenny Omega do
There
a
you
bunch
go.
of stuff,
Yep.
right?
And
like
he's already established. He's already
Yeah.
over. You know what
and
I
like
mean?
we talked about with Tony Storm last night. Like I think people there wanted to watch Tony. They probably did go a little too long in retrospect, but I think people wanted to watch her work. But with Bhupinder Gujjar, like, have him kill people, especially if it's people that don't work on your show. Like,
Right. We need to know what his finisher is, what his transition moves are, and we need to know his why.
mhm.
Why is Gujar?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good question. I think it's something we
Yeah.
could actually, that needs to be in all wrestling. Sometimes we just, the fake of the match is the match, right?
Right.
And not the why. Like, what, like the corny, what's my motivation thing that an actor has, but it's actually very important when you're talking about characters and why we have these things. Like, why is all of this happening, right? Typically, professional wrestling. Why? If I win, I make more money,
Yep.
right? So that's the root of everything we should go back to. Why are we doing this? Well, it's not just because I want to have a 5-star match, it's because the winner gets paid more. So to get paid more, I have to do X, Y, Z, right? Like, I want to know, they see something in Gujar, show us what you see in him, right? Make us believe. Give him some reason for us to believe in him, right? Even if you're just going to use him to set somebody up to beat him eventually, make me care, because right now I don't.
Yeah. Nope. I don't care yet. I think we could care, but we're
I
not there
could.
yet.
Give me a reason.
Masha Slamovich defeated Kylie Ray's cosplaying little sister named Abby Jane. As soon as I saw her, I wanted her to get beat up. Another squash match, hit her with the snowplow. Masha Slamovich, I think we're getting time to where we need to find out what she's here for too, by the way. And I really like her, but she's doing the same thing for the last 6 weeks. I want to see her do something more.
They need to book Gujar like they're booking Masha to start with.
Yeah.
Because they got it. Like what we just talked about, this is it. And I get it, because she's looked nothing but impressive in these last, like you said, 6-7 weeks. She's been on the show. But again, what is she? Why? Like, it's time to get her like, involved in things, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we go to our main event. We have the Bullet Club, Jay White and Chris Bay defeating the Motor City Machine Guns, and in a very good main event. Obviously, these guys are great. What'd you think of the main event here, and Chris Sabin taking the pin in the main event?
Normally I don't like even Steven booking, but I think this worked really well here because we had the surprise finish a couple weeks ago, right? Because nobody saw that coming. I think everybody assumed the Guns would lose, right? And they didn't. So I was like, all right. And we don't get this all the time where you get like the rematches after rematches. So I think this worked pretty good. And I like that I could just watch the Machine Guns work, man. Again, like those guys didn't work together for a year plus. They get back in there and it's just like boom, 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 boom. They have all their timing down. Man, they everything
their
they
double
say
team moves are among the greatest ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, if it's I don't want to say it's a shame that they were in Impact, because that's not true. But I mean, like, they were awesome at a time when nobody was really paying attention to what wasn't going on in WWE, right? Like, if they were hitting their stride now, I feel like they would be like a cult sensation.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they're like everything Alex Shelley says about them being so influential is 100% accurate.
It is, and I like them to stay in Impact. I wish Alex Shelley would stick around. For them, I would also like to see them get a little bit of a run in AEW and work with some of them teams at some point.
Dude,
stay connected.
So are the guys in
Impact.
AEW. Yeah.
Stay connected to Impact. Make Impact your home base. But I wish that they could work a deal out, because I would like to see them go up there in front of 15,000 people on a big pay-per-view and wrestle the Bucks and wrestle FTR, what I think would be an excellent match. And
yeah, I agree.
And the other Danielson and Brian Danielson and John Moxley. I think that would be cool. I'd like to them to have that and get those big paydays. But stick with Impact.
I agree. I would love to see them come in just to get the attention, and just so like a bigger audience can see how good they really are. Because again, when they were doing Impact in 2010, the Impact audience was a fraction of the size of Raw's, right? It just wasn't as important. And I think now the wrestling audience is so much more willing to watch stuff outside of the WWE that it's a shame that that Impact doesn't have a bigger foothold on TV so people can see how good a match like this is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so that's the show. What are your
Good show.
overall thoughts on the show?
Good show. Good work. Um, my critiques that it was a little harder on are undercard characters who really don't matter all that much, but eventually they're going to have to matter.
Yeah.
Right? Like look at Eric Young. Eric Young started from the bottom, worked his way up, and again, that's a guy who understood and got his character, and a character that changed, dramatically over the course of a decade and a half. But I want to see that from more of these guys. Like, give me a reason, to care about you, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's. But on the whole, good show
Yeah.
this week. And I was like, I was not feeling watching wrestling tonight. I had a long day of work, long practice, and I was like, I just don't want to do this. And I sat down and I just had a good time for an hour and a half. It was a really good show this week.
Good. Yeah, I really dug the main event. I was disappointed in the Kenny King Jonathan Gresham match.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Other than the Josh Alexander stuff, I didn't really think nothing was really all that compelling on the show. But you can't have a thumbs down with that main event. You know what I mean? Some kind of like like C plus B minus range, maybe thumbs in the middle. Trending towards going up for me anyway.
I'm actually a little higher than you on this, and I think it's because I left so high because I really like the main event. So I think I'm at like a B, like a low to a mid B.
Yeah.
But again, my critiques are my critiques. I think that when you end strong, like this is why endings are so important. Endings to books, endings to movies, whatever. Is when you get out, it's that last feeling. I think that kind of carries over, and like when you get a match like that at the very end that has stakes, that has been built up, that is leading somewhere, I feel good about it. And I feel like the main event picture overall, like the top 3 or 4 stories are in a good place. The rest of it could use work, but that's most wrestling. So
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, that's good. So, what articles you got coming out this week?
I took a week off. I did absolutely nothing. I'm preparing to launch my Kickstarter. So this week was spent really working on hammering that out. We're launching that on April 18th. So, that's going to be, I'm going to take all my books off the market on Amazon, and we're going to have everything available right there. So that's really where my focus has been. And I'm going to start a new book tomorrow. So that's the focus is on that.
Well, cool. Well, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping for this show. So next week, Impact's taking a week off, and so we're not going to be reviewing the IPWF. I think we're going to have something else in the book. So if you're on the free feed next week, you will actually get to hear our Multiverse of Matches review that we'll be recording tomorrow night or Friday night for the Patreon. So we're going to watch the show on Friday night, and then we're going to record a review of it. That's going to be exclusive to the Patreon. And then for the free feed next week, you guys will actually get to hear that in place of what you would normally hear. So you're going to get that content. And for the Patreon, JD and I have some ideas we're tossing around. We're going to try to do something real cool for you guys. Maybe do a watch along of something cool. So we'll get that knocked out for you. And until next week, mahalo.
Hey y'all, this is Double G from the Fight Game Media Network. I wanted to tell you about our new series of combat sports podcasts on our free and Patreon tiers. Let's talk about all the shows on our free Fight Game Media Network feed. We have The Wrap, hosted by Keela Cash, which covers the week in WWE. The Boom, hosted by James McDaniel and Kevin Eli, on all things AEW wrestling. For MMA fans, we have In the Clinch, hosted by Paul Fontaine and Ryan Frederick. Boxing fans will love Pound for Pound, hosted by Carlos Toro and Robert Silva. Write That Down is our Japanese wrestling history show with Justin Nipper and the legendary Fumi Saito. And finally, our weekend show by John LaRocca called Take It Home. And now let's talk about our Patreon, the newly branded Fight Game Media Network Plus. We have our 1997 Raw review version of the Fight Game podcast, hosted by myself and John LaRocca. Paul Fontaine and Jeff Hawkins host the Dynamite Show, which goes up every Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite is done. On Fridays, we have 2 shows that drop. The first is the full version of Brace for Impact, hosted by Mike Gilbert and JD Oliva, all on Impact Wrestling. That is the full version, which is on the Patreon. They also have a free feed of their Impact Wrestling review portion of the show, and you can find that wherever podcasts are found, searching for Brace for Impact. And lastly, on the Patreon, the 5-star Joshi Show, hosted by Scott Edwards. My video show, Observe This, is on our YouTube channel, but you'll be able to hear the audio version of it on the Patreon. We also have pay-per-view recaps as well as monthly bonus content from every podcast in our free network tier. And lastly, a Q&A with Dave Meltzer. All of that is for $5 a month. You can find all the links of where to hear our shows in the description of this video. Support the Fight Game Media Network by subscribing to our free network and Brace for Impact feeds. And please, please, please rate us 5 stars. And please check out our Patreon as well. Thanks for watching.